Hello everyone, hi. So in this particular video, what I will be taking you through is the documentation requirements for AOS. I have prepared a detailed videos on how to fill up the AOS forms step by step. And at the last of that video, you would have seen a section where we are uploading all the documents. So in that particular video, I told that I'll not cover the details of the content of each of the documents because the video was already over half an hour long. In this video, I'll go through the individual section. In a similar way, I will be preparing a video for the RRS also, for the Rural Renewable Stream, but this video is concentrated for the Alberta Opportunity Stream documentation. Okay, so let's just jump to it. Okay, so this is the landing page for AOS documentation. Okay, so so if you see here, it has all the sections of categories of documentation required and then the details on what is required on each of the section. So let's go through them individually. Okay, let's go through it. So before I start, just a quick note is that this section is applicable for mostly the candidate. Okay, so if you look into, if when we start looking at the documents, make sure you pay attention to the fact that there are certain documents which are marked candidate only. Okay, so if they need any information for your family members or your dependents, provide information only then. Okay, don't overload the system by providing you everything. Like for example, passports. Let's go through that example. Like for example, passports. If you are the applicant, just upload your passport. Okay, don't upload the passport for your family in this particular section. Okay, we will go through individual sections. If they need passports for your family members, they will tell you. Okay, we will go through that. Okay, pause, move. Okay, so they will tell you if they need sections for your passports for your family members. Okay, so what do you need to upload for passport? First thing is you need to upload the personal information page and the validity page. Personal information page means your photograph, your name, spouse name, family name, parents name, address, things like that. And then obviously validity basically would mean your passport number, your issue date and expiry date. So all those things are required. You don't need to upload your visas or your stamps or your travel history in this particular section. We will go through the individual sections. Make sure you apply your mind and upload only what is required. Okay, I know there are many sections where it would say that just throw the kitchen sink at them and upload all the documents that you have. It might work in certain categories and it might not work in certain categories. Okay, so I would suggest just stick to the instructions. Whatever is asked, upload that and you should be good. Okay, don't overload the system. Next, so this is only for you. Next is work permit. AOS is a stream where you need to be working, you need to be living and working in Alberta. Okay, so in that case, make sure that when you are living and working in Alberta, it should be under some legal documents and it should be a valid stay and valid work. So for that, you're applying for PR. So the only way to establish that you have valid status in Canada or in Alberta is the work permit. So make sure that you upload your work permit copy. So upload your current Alberta work permit, which basically means your work permit that is currently active and which shows that you are eligible to work in Alberta, and then any kind of past Canadian work permit. This might be required to establish your history. So if you are working in Canada for say a couple of years, you have different kind of renewals, changes to job, changes to location, just provide all your history of your stay in Canada or your history of your working in Canada. Okay, it's always a good idea to provide your history. So upload your current work permit and your past work permits. Okay, again, it's very clear that the instruction is very clear that if you have any past work permits, you upload that also. Now, you may ask a question, how do I upload different work permits? Would that be different files? No. Obviously, when you are uploading your work permit, you are scanning it in some way. Make sure that all your work permits, starting with the current work permit, is scanned into one PDF document. So if you're using a scanner, just scan all the documents, start with the most current and then go downwards. Okay, and the last of the pages should be your first work permit in Canada. So first is the most latest, and the last is the earliest work permit copy. Okay, so you make sure that you do that. Okay, let's go. So that's the section on your work permit. Language assessment. AOS is again a non-express entry based program. So for this particular stream, there might be a different language requirement, and there is a different language requirement. So if you so we have seen that AOS has different language requirements depending on your job and your NOC. So make sure that you have that particular language assessment criteria fulfilled. Okay, obviously when you have applied for AOS, you have made, or you have already made sure that you satisfy all the conditions, including language assessment, and you have a language assessment test result with you. You are just uploading a copy of that here. This is again only for yourself. You need not do it for your family in this particular section. So upload a single language assessment document, and this could be either a Fswp or IELTS. I'm just talking about English language test. If you have other French language tests, you can upload that here. If you want to know what is the criteria for language assessment test, you can click on this link and go and check the language assessment criteria. Okay. So the first three sections that we looked into this in this particular checklist belongs to candidates only. Let's go to the next step. Labor market impact assessment or evidence of exemptions. LMIA is a required document for various kind of jobs in Canada. So if you are working on work permit in Canada and if you have a LMIA, upload a copy of the LMIA. Okay, but not all positions or not all jobs would have LMIA. So in that case, provide a copy of your exemption eligibility. So if for any reason you don't have LMIA, like for example, intercompany transferees don't need a LMIA normally. So in that case, upload a copy of your LMIA exemption. So in that work permit, in the work permit package, you will have any kind of a letter or approval or something which will say that you are not eligible for your LMIA. So upload a copy of that. So either LMIA or a copy of LMIA exemption or a proof of LMIA exemption. Okay, so this is a or condition. Obviously, you will not have both of it. One candidate will not have both of the documents. They will either have a valid LMIA or they have a valid exemption of evidence. So or does make sense. Again, this is for candidate only. If you are working and your spouse is working, you still need to, and you are the primary applicant, upload LMIA or the evidence of exemption for LMIA only for yourself. Don't do it for everybody. Okay. This is the section on LMIA. Next is education. Education is a very critical documentation, because here you need to prepare the documentation in a particular form. So if you see here, the content is your educational credential documents and your ECA. Okay, so if you have done your education outside Canada, then you need to get your ECA. Okay, so there are two types of education documents you must provide in a single document. Again, in most cases, you would be scanning your documents. You would be scanning your education documents. So make sure that when you are scanning your documents, you scan individual documents, and then from there on, the first section should be your degrees, diplomas, and certificates, and the last page should be your ECA from a from a reputed or from one of the listed institutes. Like for example, I did my ECA with WES. So I uploaded all my degree diploma certificates, and then the last page was my ECA. So there are two type of documentations. So upload all your secondary and post-secondary degrees and then your ECAs. Okay. Obviously, you don't need an ECA if you have a Canadian degree. So for Canadian degrees, just upload the first section, which is the degree. If you have a Canadian degree, then do that. If you have both, if you have a Canadian degree and a foreign degree, upload all the documents, and as the last page, upload your ECA. Okay. So if you have completed your education outside Canada, provide a ECA. Okay. Very important. This is the and section. Okay, I cannot stress enough. This is not or. You cannot only provide your documents, or you cannot only provide your ECA. Both have to be there. Okay. If you don't have ECA, like for example, Canadian degree, then it's a different thing. But in most cases, most of us will have a foreign degree. So we need to provide both of them. Okay. So this is a very important document. Okay. If at this stage, if you have any kind of trade certificate or something, upload a copy of that also. Right? It says here, if you have a valid trade qualification certificate, this is only for people who are working in certain trades. So if that is, you can upload that here. This section is again for candidate only. You don't need to upload it for everybody. Okay. So we have done 2 pages, and till now all the documents are for candidates only. Let's see how the third page goes. This is not a very big document. This is only a 5-page document. So read it once, read it well, and I'm sure you will get through it. Okay. Pay statements. Pay statements is also very important. You need to upload pay statements for last 3 months. Okay. 3 months, not 3 pay stubs. It depends on how you get your pay stubs. If you're getting your pay stubs monthly, then yes, 3 pay stubs. But in most of the cases, people get paid bi-monthly, sorry. So in that case, you need to upload the pay stubs for 3 months, which would be 6 pay stubs. Okay. If for any reason you are paid weekly, you have to upload like at least 12 pay stubs for 3 months. Understand this. This is the minimum requirement. You need to provide pay stubs for 3 months. Okay. 3 months, 3 calendar months you should provide. To be safe, you can provide some extra pay stub. Like for example, what I did was when I applied it, I think mid of the month. Okay. I applied around mid of the month. So in that case, I uploaded 3 full months prior to that, and then extra pay stub for the current month. Okay. So you can provide some extra pay stubs. So that is also fine. Okay. One question again here is, how do you scan? So again, the same thing, scan everything into one big document and upload it. Okay. If you are getting your pay stubs in a soft copy form, merge all the documents using an online tool and upload your pay stubs. That is how I uploaded my pay stubs. I used to get ADP PDF form, PDF pages. I just used one of the online tools and merged it into one document. Okay. If you don't have pay stubs, then you can always include a statement of earnings, but that has certain requirements on what it should contain. A statement of earnings should contain. So have a look at that here. This will give you an idea of what the statement of earnings should contain. Okay. This is only for yourself. So if you are working, your spouse is working, and you are the primary applicant, upload it only for yourself. Okay. So page 3 starting is also for candidate only. Employment reference letter. Reference letter is also a very important tool. So reference letter is basically used by the immigration officer or by Aaip to validate your. It will be used by Aaip to validate your experience, judge the suitability of your NOC and various things. So it is a very important document from your employer. So Depending on your employment history, you may need one or more reference letters. So get all the reference letters and again merge it into one file and upload that one big file. Okay, that's how most of us do. So upload the reference letters for a qualifying full-time work experience in your current occupation. So if you are, obviously this is AOS is for some, AOS is for somebody who's already working in Alberta. If you're working in Alberta, you have uploaded the pay statements and you are also uploading the current occupation reference letter. Okay. So either 12 months of work experience in Alberta in the past 18 months or 24 months the rest of the world. So make sure the reference letter that you provide covers the basic work period. Okay, this is only the minimum. I'm not saying only provide for last 2 years. Provide all your reference letters as much as you can. The minimum is 12 months in Alberta and 18 months rest of the world, whatever you qualify for. Okay, if you have a PGWP, then you need to upload the PGWP. If you have a PGWP experience from Alberta, you upload the proof for that. You must upload reference letters for a qualifying full-time work experience. Okay, your reference letter must be signed by a manager, so it must be on the company letterhead, and it should have these bullet points. So one quick thing on these particular bullet points. Understand this. Your reference letter, this is a guidance for your reference letter content. Okay, so make sure your reference letter contains these bullet points. Okay, it's not required that they should be in the same order. Okay, so order is not important, content is important. This is kind of a checklist within a checklist. So when you come to this is what the officers will also use to evaluate your reference letter, that whether your reference letter contains all these things or not. Okay, so make sure that your reference letter has these bullet points covered. Again, order is not important, content is important. So what do you need to have in these reference letters? Your job title, your salary, your period of employment, hours of work. This is basically that whether you are working full-time or not, main job duties. Okay, education required. What was the education required for that particular job? Skills and innovations, skills and knowledge necessary for the duties, work experience required, employer contact information. So it must be signed by somebody, by a manager or supervisor. And then if Aaip has some questions, who can they contact to get the qualification? Okay, so this is employment reference letter. Employment reference letter is required both for your current job and your past work experience. Okay, so make sure that you upload reference letters for both. Even if you are working somewhere, get a reference letter from them with all these bullet points covered. Okay, and if you have any past experience, contact the employer or the HR of your past company and get a letter from them which contains these points. Again, each company might have its own letterhead, it can have its own different content way to present the data, but make sure that you cover all these points. That is more important. Again, order is not important, content is important. This will be judged based on this content. So if you are already working, you must provide a reference letter and a job offer letter. Offer letter is not a alternative for reference letter. So in place of your reference letter, don't upload your offer letter. Okay, offer letter, there is a different section for offer letter. This is only reference letter which contains these points that I just explained earlier in the video. Okay, so pause the video and then make sure that you cover all these points. Okay, and this says very clearly that reference letter and job offer letters are different. Okay, if for any reason you don't have a reference letter or don't get a reference letter from your employer, you upload all the supporting documents that might help you establish that experience. So do that. Okay, very important thing when you are applying or when you are including a reference letter, obviously you will need to work with your employer. Just don't copy paste your NOC codes, your NOC code descriptions. Okay, put the actual job duties and everything in that particular document. So copying a NOC code or a NOC code description is not a very good idea. NOC codes are pretty generic in nature. So like for example, software developer, web designers, those things are very specific, very general in nature, but your job duties might be more or less than the NOC description. Okay, so make sure that you include the actual job description and not the NOC description. Okay, so that's an important part. Okay, so we are done with page number 3 and the employment reference letter section. Next, Alberta job offer employment contracts. If you are working in Alberta, and obviously AOS is for somebody who is working in Alberta. So you are working in Alberta, so you must have a valid offer letter. Okay, so upload your offer letter and any kind of employment contract, which is a required document here. You need to do it only for yourself. Similar to reference letter, your job offer letter must have specific content. So these bullet points must be covered on that job offer letter. So let me just talk quickly about it. So again, in this case also, your content is more important and your order is not that important. So it must be on a letterhead. It should show your salary wage. It should show your duration of employment. Everything is fine. But your order can be a bit up and down, right? Order could be any, but make sure these points are covered. Again, order is not important, content is important. Okay, so it should be on the letterhead. It should show your salary. It should show your duration, working condition, job duties. It should be signed by an authorized person and any kind of contact information. This is required if Aaip has any questions. So this is also a very important document which is required for you. Okay, so these are the mandatory documents that you need to upload. Okay, if you are working in a trade or regulated occupations, there are different documentations that required. So the next two documents are only if it's applicable to you. I'm not covering that in this particular video as I'm not too aware of these documentations of details of these documentations. But if you're working in a eligible trade or something, you would have these documents with you. Otherwise, you'll not be able to work here. So if you're already working in a recognized trade or a job which relates to any of the trades, then you have these documents, and if it's applicable to you, just upload a copy of that. You can pause the video here, have a look at what is covered or what is required under these sections. Okay, so we are done with page 4. Until now, all the documentations required are for candidates only. Okay, I'll just remove the webcam once so that you can take a look at this particular section. Pause the video here and you can have a look. Okay, next, apart from this, the last page is there are certain forms that you need to upload. So what are these things? So these are PDF forms which you can download from the website, sign and scan and upload it. Okay, so first is the dependent authorization form. This is applicable if you are applying with your dependents. I'm sorry. So if you are applying with your dependents, go to the website to get the current version of the form, and then complete and get the document signed. Okay, and then upload and then scan and upload it to the AOS documentation section. So this is the dependent authorization form. Very important. Don't miss this form. If you have a dependent, it's very important. Use a representative form. If you have used a representative, then you need to use this particular form, right? If you are doing it yourself, it's not required. So these two are optional documentations. So this is only for certain cases. Like for example, if you're applying a loan, you don't need any of it. So if you are, for example, you are applying everything on your own and you are just applying solo, right? No dependents or anything. So you don't need any of these documents. But if you are say applying if you're applying with your spouse and your dependents and you're doing it yourself, you only need the first document. Okay. If you are applying with a representative, you need first document and second document. If you're applying solo with a representative, then you need only the second document. Okay. So go through this particular section. I can show you the individual forms. So if you click here, if you go down, you would see there is a section called resources. Yes. So here you basically open the dependent authorization form and user representative form. Okay. Let me quickly open and show it to you. How does it look? It's not a very big form. Okay. So let's see this. So this is just a 2-page form where you just fill it up, fill up your dependent information, and then sign it. Okay. So it's signed by your spouse and all your dependents. If your dependents are more than 18 years of age, let me just move the camera once so that you can have a look. So this is the dependent authorization form, and then this is the use of the representative form. Again, this is just a lot of pages of documentation, but yeah, you need to include your representative name, all the details of the representatives, and all the details here. And this is only required if you are using a representative. I, for example, did it myself, and most of the people in our group are doing themselves. So we don't need this form. So this form is not something I would be greatly worried about. I'd be more worried about the dependent information form. So this is the main form that you need to be worried about. And this is just a 2-page form. This is a very simple form that you can upload. Okay, so that's it on the documentation for AOS. This PDF is available on the AOS website, so feel free to go through this particular checklist and make sure that you cover each of these. This is not a very big document. It's not a very elaborate thing, so this should be easy for you. Okay, so thank you guys, and I hope this particular video was helpful to you. If you need any kind of more information, have any kind of questions, do reach out to me. And I've tried helping other people from my experience. You would see some barcodes and QR codes over here. This is for my WhatsApp groups. So join this WhatsApp groups. There are many candidates over there which could be in similar boat as you, and you guys can share and interact with everybody. I normally don't interact directly on these WhatsApp groups, but if you join my channel, there is a member exclusive WhatsApp group, and I do interact one-to-one with people or in that particular WhatsApp group. Okay, so any questions, put it on the comments, subscribe to the channel so that I can reach out to your comments quickly, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much.